Manipulating information is as old as time. People have been distorting truth for power and profit for centuries. As new technologies developed, it opened up new possibilities to disseminate information, but also to extort and to sow distrust. The rise of web-generated news dramatically changed the way we access and consume information. Disinformation became a powerful and dangerous force. There is one actor that perfected the art of using disinformation against you.
Russia, and prior to it, the Soviet Union, has been very good in developing and actually conducting disinformation campaigns. Sometimes it is to change public opinion in the targeted country. Sometimes it's trying to put effort in changing opinion of specific elite, specific leaders.
It is high time to unmask Russia and its deceptive disinformation methods. Although the 21st century is bringing new meaning to disinformation, these methods were first employed by the Soviets, who started using information warfare as a tactical weapon in 1923. Some say the term Disinformation has been coined by Joseph Stalin himself. Active measures, a crucial part of the Soviet intelligence strategy, involving forgery, subversion, and media manipulation, were eagerly used by the state apparatus and are not refrained from today. For over 600 years, Russians have referred to this method of deception that includes concealment, camouflage, and disinformation as maskirovka.
Those keywords, disinformation, maskirovka as well, deception in warfare, I think they've always been key elements of particularly how the Red Army had operated historically. All regimes, of course, throughout the world, and the more repressive the regime is, the more it tends to rely on propaganda. But all of them utilize sort of strategic messaging, we could say, and that merges to some extent into propaganda. But I think in the Russian case, there is a particular tradition, partly because of the Soviet period, where you had this overriding demand to satisfy the ideology, to forward the ideology of communism at all points. That often required, to put it bluntly, tactical lying to propagate the ideology. And I think particularly in the Russian case now, obviously under Putin, shorn of its communist element, but a lot of those old traditions of deception and of extensive use of propaganda are still there. So there is an argument to be made that those are ingrained Russian traditions, yes.
Modern Russia perfected weaponizing information and pushed it to whole new levels.
Пропаганда очень эффективна, очень цинична. И тот факт даже, что сейчас во время войны против Украины Путин использует, я же сказал, о искажении истории, преднамеренном искажении истории, в оправдание своих криминальных действий. Путин сегодня даже в пропаганде использует даже сравнение Украины, войны против Украины, войны против нацистской Германии. Это цинизм, который уже выходит за рамки вообще какого-либо разума просто, значит. И эта пропаганда, она уже не гнушается никакими примерами и постановочными сценами, где убивают людей, и якобы это украинцы убивают, там, сказать, невинных граждан. Это все циничная, но очень эффективная и очень, скажем так, дорогостоящая пропаганда. Тратятся огромные деньги. И она воздействует на умы людей. Даже человек, знающий, что происходит, посмотрев полчаса такую передачу путинского телевидения, начинает задумываться, а может действительно это правда. Только спасает его то, что он знает эту правду. А если человек не знает правду, он хочет узнать, то он подпадает под действие пропаганды, и он становится оболваненным, одураченным этой пропагандой и волей-неволей поддерживает этот такой нарратив такой, который предлагается этим режимом. Поэтому это главное оружие сегодня по удержанию власти у Путина в его руках. Это главное оружие пропаганды, телевидение и все остальное.
The use of modern technology, often supercharged by bots and trolls, transformed how we access information. Social media has been instrumental in amplifying false messages. It has revolutionized how quickly the information has been able to spread on what's been happening on the ground globally.
The disinformation machine is basically multifaceted, obviously, and you have multiple dimensions. You have, domestic dimensions, and you have a dimension abroad. When it comes to what happened, in all countries, the Western countries, in America and in Europe, you have two dimensions of propaganda. And to make a long story short, basically you have the hard propaganda. Hard propaganda about Nazis in Kiev, about the narratives that the Ukrainians have basically downed the MH17. All those lies. Most of the people do not think that it's true. But you have a lot of soft propaganda, which aim must be regularly recalled. The aim of Putin's propaganda towards the West is to dissuade any kind of decisive actions from the Western government. And so you have also in a lot of TV shows in Europe, and also in my country, France, people saying, well, we must not send weapons to Ukraine because it would aggravate the war. For instance, this kind of narrative, which is completely, of course, untrue, but that's Russian propaganda. And basically, well, just see, the situation, of course, we can blame, of course, Russia, but the situation is not that simple. NATO has a part of responsibility in that. Which part? I don't know. But you still have, a lot of propagandists about that. Or something saying, well, Europe has its own way to support Ukraine, because if we become too much dependent from the US, so there must be a distance between the US and Europe. That's a way to divide the alliances, or to divide also the Western European countries and Eastern Central European countries.
To give you a specific example, since 2014, after Russia invaded Ukraine first, Russia started to conduct a disinformation activity in the Czech Republic, targeting Czech audience, trying to portray Ukraine as a failed state, as a corrupt state, as a state which is run by fascists, which it is not, but this has been portrayed by Ukraine and Russian proxies. And the effort was to actually change the opinion of Czech population on Ukraine, because what it would mean is that if big portion of Czech population believes Ukraine is corrupted, is run by a fascist regime, all these things which are not true, if part of the Czech population believes that, it makes it harder for the Czech government to actually openly support Ukraine, which is under attack. And this has been a long-term disinformation campaign organized by Russia inside of the Czech Republic.
Kremlin favors shameless approach to disseminating falsehoods and contradictory messages, the so-called fire hose of falsehood. Modern Russian disinformation has exacerbated the Soviet Cold War techniques, utilizing all means available, including the internet, social media platforms, professional and amateur journalism, and various other media outlets. The words of author Jonathan Swift, "Falsehood flies and truth comes limping after it," are resonating now more than ever before. As long as we unmask it and expose it, we are still in the game.